我哋嚟到Paula 佢嘅 office 啦，咁呢一度咧就係佢哋嘅 office 啦。咁今日咧佢就專登叫咗啲同事咧離開一陣，因為咧我同佢咧有啲偈要傾，咁一陣再傾啦。
Hello， 大家好。我今日咧就嚟到咧Paula 咧嘅公司，咁就專程咧去同佢傾下偈啦。見面其實我哋係第一次見面嘅。Paula 同埋Lorraine 咧係我好早期咧嘅 business partner 嚟嘅。咁Lorraine 依家唔喺度啦，咁Paula 咧就 take care 成間公司。咁我就今日即係頭先同佢已經傾咗好多偈㗎啦。咁想再就住一啲大家都好關心嘅 topic 咧，再同大家咧去分享一下，究竟佢點樣睇。So hello Paula, so you can say hello to all the audience. Yes, I just mentioned you and Lorraine is my very first business partner in this field. So I would like to ask you about being as a letting agent. So any challenge you have in this business between the struggle of tenant and the landlord?
So just like the biggest issue is being the middleman, in between the tenant.
Middleman, yes.
Yeah, so being in between the tenant and the landlord, we're just a constant middleman. We're constantly waiting on updates from tenants, constantly waiting for responses from landlords.
Yes.
So I had mentioned the biggest challenge that we face from a tenant's point of view is a tenant not understanding that we can't make the decisions on a property. And from a landlord's point of view, it's probably trying to prove what it is that the tenant has reported to us. So and because we are, if the team are office based, or if not the full team are office based, but if the team are in the office and someone reports something, again we've got to try and take the word of the tenant that there is an issue there. So we have a list of things that we'll go through depending on what the problem is. So there's certain issues that may come up. For example, heating's not working on a property, so we have a checklist that we go through. The tenant, things like so here you have a lot of properties that have prepayment meters, so they actually have to, they've got a card that they put into a meter, and you have to put money on that card in order to get gas. So we'll go through the system of do you have money on your meter? Can you check the boiler pressure to make sure it's not dropped, because sometimes the boiler pressure will drop and you just have to turn.
Yeah, it's very detailed.
So you just have to turn a little switch. So there's things that we'll go through with them before we'll report the problem to the landlord. But again, the issue is proving to the owner that there is an actual issue there, and we are at the stage we have to send someone. And then again, you've got the tenant at the other side saying, I've no heating, it's the middle of winter, I need someone out straight away. So that can be probably the biggest challenge, is being in the middle of the owner and the tenant when we're trying to.
I could fully understand. I think not everything could be proved.
Yes.
Right. So it really depends on the trust between the landlord and the agency. So and also the tenant with you. So being a middleman is very challenging. So how do you think that you can improve the communication gap? I think.
Yeah, I think the what we're trying to work on, I can understand from the owner's point of view that if they've never been in the property, this is a huge investment for people. I'm a landlord myself, so I understand that it's a huge investment. I have the benefit of being able to actually go and visit my own properties, whereas a lot of our owners don't. So I can understand where they're coming from when it comes to having to put a lot of trust in us, that we're not saying that these things are going wrong to try and make any extra money. So I suppose the biggest thing is to trying to continue to build that trust. We're trying to work on getting the contractors to take the before and after pictures when they go and visit a property. But again, we become another middleman because we're then having to deal with a contractor. So it's not just it's not just dealing with the tenant and dealing with the owner. So when we're dealing with contractors, we're putting a lot of trust in them as well. So we say to them, can you please take before and after pictures? We're putting in trust in them that they're actually going to do it. And a lot of times they'll phone, oh, I forgot. And they think it's not a big deal. For the owners, we understand it's a very big deal. And for us, it's a very big deal as well, because that picture could help build that trust. You know, so if we're providing that information and we're providing those pictures, that can help build that trust that you know, these things are happening, and we are fixing them as quickly as possible. But again, we are then relying on the team that are going out, the contractors and stuff that are going out. So Pamela does the majority of our internal office work, and she's never been to the majority of properties that we have, because she's not out on the field. So she's probably in the same position as a lot of owners, where she's having to trust the contractors. She's having to trust the tenants that you know that there's not a problem, and she spends a lot of time building relationships with contractors, so that you can begin to rely on them and you know, and build that trust. But again, as I said, I can understand from an owner's point of view, being in the background and having to just hope that there are issues and that we are fixing those issues.
Yes， 所以我都係有講，就係其實因為係一個距離嗰個問題啦，因為大家可能見唔到你哋間樓係俾人 take care， 所以個關係上嗰個信任係好緊要啦。咁都想透過呢個 video 咧係大家都更加明白咧 letting agents 佢哋嗰個 position 係點樣，更加知道。咁一陣我都會再 show 俾大家睇佢哋嗰個 operation 係點樣嘅。
So you can see on this side, so these are new properties that we either have been purchased and there's work being done. So that's the ones that we've got pending properties. These are the ones that are coming on board. Voids, so these are any ones that someone's moved out of, and we're waiting to do work, or we're waiting to get keys back, and maybe their period of time isn't up yet. We've got some move-outs, so anyone that's issued notice to us and whatever dates it is that they're moving out. NTL served means notice to leave. So that's if we've had to serve notice on anyone for any reason whatsoever. If it's rent arrears or which I think the three that are there are on the market. So these are all the properties that we've got. These ones here are the ones that we've got right now that are on Rightmove. Those are the ones that are available to rent, and we know that we've already advertised them.
Okay, good.
And then on this side we've got move-ins. So all the properties that we've got that people are moving into, and then we've got
some of the addresses quite familiar.
So have we got, has the deposit been paid? So what the guys will do is so we'll put the move-in date, and then the guys will get in touch with me and say, can you confirm if the deposit's been paid in, if the rent's been paid in. For example, this one they've paid 3 months, so they've paid 3 months up front to move into this one, and then these ones we'll just tick to make sure that we've got the deposit, because we need to have the deposit and the first one, at least the first month's rent in, before we issue a lease on the property. So we won't send any paperwork until we've received all of that. So the team will contact myself and say, can you just confirm that these things are in.
Okay.